Good morning and welcome to the number one Group of Five college football podcast in the world. This is the Group of Five guys, and our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need your help to do that. We need you to hit the follow button on all the social platforms at Group of Five guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode, we are going to talk about the highway robbery during some of the awards that have been announced over the course of this college football season. Of course, we got more portal updates, coaching move updates. We got the Salute to Services Bowl this weekend. And of course, Army-Navy. Hope you enjoy the show.
Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Highway robbery, Jeff.
Yes, it is.
Highway robbery. And, I think we have a couple of cases. But, Nick Nash, Harold Fannin. I think those are the two that definitely had a case for these awards.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a season like Nick Nash, both of them really.
Yeah.
And they basically get given again to a player, very good player, but because of the patch on his chest and the logo. And I'm just starting to get really, really sick of it, of these people who are in control of college football awards like this, and they don't watch. I guarantee you the committee who votes on those awards, I honestly don't even know who they are. I don't know if it's past coaches, if it's media members, but you know for a fact that they did not watch hardly any Bowling Green football this year.
Well, and that's the thing that kills me about it too. And then I've been reading through Twitter last night and this morning about it, and a lot of their arguments are like, oh well, this one will be better in the NFL. They're a better NFL prospect. Well, that's not the award.
No,
it's not what we're doing. It's best season. This one season, and it's frustrating, man, because those guys, as we sit here and talk about, guys staying where they're at, right? And somebody, if you think you're the best tight end in the country and you want to win an award, now you might feel like you have to go somewhere else because these guys are not watching Bowling Green. But if there was like a couple of guys, Jeff, that were willing to, try to highlight teams like Bowling Green all the time. But anyway, I don't know. Ashton Genty did win the Maxwell though. So
that worries me.
Yeah. Well, and it worries me for his case that Hunter got best defensive player and best wide receiver.
Yeah, it's like they're preemptively setting up the Heisman. And it's just like, dude, we see what you're doing here.
Well, I've never understood. I mean, I realize it's like different voters and stuff like that, but like I've never understood how one guy could win best defensive player but not win best defensive back. Like, he's not the best at his position, but he's the best all around. Like I've never understood. It happens every year, so I'm not like saying that that's some kind of conspiracy or anything. I've never gotten it where, you know, one quarterback wins best player overall, and another quarterback wins best quarterback, and another quarterback wins best offensive player. And it's like, well, I mean, what are the criteria here?
I don't know.
I think that's part of it too. That should be public, not like how the committee has to get up there and explain themselves. And every week, get these voters up there. And maybe they do. Maybe when they vote, they got to explain your answer. You know, back in the day when you took a test, you had to explain your answer or show your work. That's what these guys should have to do. So they're just doing a multiple choice, because this is what I would do on a multiple choice test I didn't know the answer to. I just picked the thing that looked right.
Yeah,
the one I've heard of.
Biggest
that word looks familiar.
Yeah, 100%. C.
Yeah. See, I feel like I've seen that word somewhere along the lines throughout this semester.
No, I'm just saying C. I would always just pick C. I don't know
down
why.
The list.
When it was A, B,
B's
C,
and
D.
C's are most common. But then you'd have that professor that would like do stuff on purpose,
Purposely
like make it
try
all
and
A.
trick you.
He's like, I swear, professors, that's a whole nother thing. You want to talk about a overpaid group. I mean, college professors. I can't tell you how many courses I took that every single thing was done online, but yet this was like a in-person class. They're like, well, homework's on the online, tests are online, PowerPoints are online. I'm like, what exactly do you do here?
The PowerPoints, that some of them don't even create the PowerPoints. They're like from
the textbook does.
Yeah, they're from the people who create the textbooks, which is funny. Like, so my wife, she's a professor, but she teaches mechatronics. You know, she teaches the programs that, you know, AutoCAD that you create designs on, and it's, you have to be in class to learn this. There's no other way. Like, you can try and learn it. It's not like history where you can just go and remember the dates, or English. You got to go read the book. You don't have to come in for lecture. Like, if you don't show up, there's no way you're going to understand how to use this program to create your design. So like people, she's like, you know, I was to give the final, and two people turned in the exact same drawing with the exact same, like, it's clear as day that you just took it, printed it out, handed it to that person, and turned it in. Like, you can't cheat in this class, but yet these kids just don't show up all year, show up for the final, try and turn it. She's like, at least try to be a good cheater.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was pretty good at cheating in my day.
You gotta learn to play the system. Show up, sit up front, at least engage a little bit. You're guaranteed a C in most of your classes.
So and like this was in like middle school. So there was a website. It's gonna sound very inappropriate here, but it's not. It's called pinkmonkey.com, which it was basically like an underground version of Cliff Notes. So if you plagiarized off Cliff Notes, pretty easy for the teacher to find it or suspect, right? If you plagiarized off Pink Monkey, really good. It was like it would like, I don't know, it was like before its time.
Chat GPT like, before its time.
Yeah, kind of. So I somehow knew about this, and I made the mistake of telling my friends about it. And then we all get called into the teacher's office, and, you know, my life advice, deny, right? I mean, they got no proof, deny. So my buddy James, he's like, James, did you cheat on this book report or whatever it was? And I swear to God, that man like stood up and screamed out. He's like, no way, I got it off Pink Monkey. And I was like, oh no. And then the website was like,
everybody found it.
The rest of my career, it was gone. But anyway, Pink Monkey, I probably wouldn't recommend typing that into your web browser now. It might be something different. It could be inappropriate. Anyway, hey, shout out Decker Gray Coffee Company. I've needed it this morning. Decker Gray's been supporting us all year long. You guys know the deal. This is roast to order coffee. You click purchase, you put in that promo code, get your 10% off, get your free shipping. That's when they roast the coffee. That's when they put it in the bag and ship it directly to your doorstep. Get you the cosmic Christmas. It's time. It's that time of your Christmas, 2 weeks away, boys and girls. Get you some coffee. Get it as a gift for somebody, your favorite coffee lover, your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, whatever. Make sure you visit deckergray.com, promo code GOFG. Jeff, I went and, watched and listened to our conversation with Pat Curran again yesterday. I tell you, man, we got to have him on again because there's so much more we need to know and learn.
Well, it's just an ever changing, ever evolving space right now, and you have so many new, like he said, like 700 new companies in the last year that have just popped up in this NIL space, and just very informative. You hear all this stuff, you see all this stuff on Twitter and the internets, and you don't know what's true and what's not. So it was nice to get a little bit of clarity of somebody that's in that space that seems to do a good job. I mean, you have a 30, 45-minute conversation with somebody. Doesn't mean we knew everything about him, but to me, it felt like he was his authentic self, and he really cares about his clients. He's got 10 of them, he said, right now, and, he's counseling them, advising them, not just on how to get the most money, but for the entire situation, where that player is at, what's best for him. And it's not always smart to get in the portal. You're in a great position. You have NFL potential. Let's stay here. I'm gonna work on getting you more money while you're here. Yeah, it might not be 150,000 like you could go here, but I could get you a good amount and get you ready, put you in the most advantageous position to get drafted or to get signed as a free agent once you graduate. So it was great. I hope our viewers and listeners enjoyed it. You muted. But yeah, and like we've seen, we saw Darian Mensah, Tulane. He signs with Duke. You're seeing all these people all over the country get into the portal. It's over 1,000 people, right? And I think this percentage is, it's something like 70% of kids that go in the portal don't find a home, which is absolutely crazy. But you're getting just this enormous amount of, new agents that are just cropping up that they just want to make 20, 30, whatever it is. So they're enticing kids to get in the portal. It's just a wild, wild situation right now.
Yeah. And I think you got me now, by the way.
Yep. You're good.
I don't understand this thing. Well, I think one of the things that, he mentioned that, is part of his relationship and the way it should be is, they start with where's the fit, on the field. Like, let's figure that out first. And then we can talk money, because like he said, if you're going a couple extra $1,000, but you're going to a worse spot, like let's not do that. But if you're going from 10K to 500,000, like, of course, like, right. Like you can't fault anybody for that, if that's a possibility, but also, yeah, if they have NFL potential, like, they got to be in the best spot to get there. And I hate seeing these guys that have a sure thing in front of them, and then they transfer, and then they put doubts. Like, you're having a great season. The NFL's got their eyes on you, and now you go elsewhere and you don't have the same success, and now they're doubting you. Now your draft stock is going down. But anyway, I want to go back to the Nick Nash, Harold Fannin thing, because I wanted to bring up, there's some people on the Twitter sphere kind of defending or speaking up for Fannin. And I got to tell you, Jeff, one of them is one of the Barstool guys. Let me find this thing, because there was some good stuff. He's talking about, here we go. So Penn State's Tyler Warren won the Mackey, best tight end. And look, he's a great player, and we may get a chance to see a lot of them if they beat SMU and they play Boise State. But one of the things is, this guy said, he was like, I'm begging college football voters to watch college football. It's actually embarrassing that Harold Fannin doesn't win this award, despite leading tight ends in over 20 categories and being the second leading receiver in all of college football. And then that's what he said too. Like, I have my own doubts about Fannin regarding the NFL. How one translates to the NFL shouldn't matter for an award given to the best college football player. Then he had some other stuff. But anyway, it is
spot on.
And it really has become a bit of a popularity contest. I mean, it's like every media member talks about the same guys. They all got the same script. Have you ever seen those clips?
Oh yeah.
Where every single news network is saying the same exact buzzwords about the same exact stories, and you're like, oh, they're like they talk about this.
Yeah.
Or they're handed a script to talk about this. That's what it seems like it's become for all of the narratives around players, around, teams and rankings and all of those things. So I don't know, Jeff.
We just get in this bubble and people fall into it, especially the news, the news outlets, they make their money on clicks, website clicks, how many times people read their stuff, downloads, like all this. So, right. And, it's why the vast majority of podcasts and shows, they all cover the big conferences, because there's such a dense population of fans that want information on that. So they report on it. When, you got a large group of the country that don't play at those schools, that are phenomenal players. And, in this case, like, why they will probably make more on giving, this tight end from Penn State the award, and more people click on their article when they go to explain why he won, instead of doing your actual job and being, having a little bit of couth about you and watching what you claim to cover, which is the entire, college football landscape and players. You got a kid who dominated the entire year. His stats back it up. His film backs it up. He's going to be an NFL player. Like, it's not like he's just a great college player. He'll be in the NFL and you'll see him. So it's just a shame, but cash rules everything around me.
That's a great point about clicks on their articles. So that's a really good point, because I think if they go on Twitter and they see my article about Harold Fannin, most fans are going to say, who? Oh, yep. They play FCS opponents. And that's the thing that drives me off the wall too. When the excuse about, the level of competition is so outdated. It's so out of touch. I mean, I don't know, but plus, hold on, let me just find a little something for you here, Jeff. Because when Bowling Green played Penn State at Penn State, Harold Fannin had 11 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. And I remember Bazelak and Fannin carved up Penn State. Now, Tyler Warren had a good game too. 8 catches, 146. But again, it's always these people that say Hugenti doesn't play anybody. What if he played a good defense? Okay, well, what about the number 1 team in the country? One game. That's what they go to. It's like, well, I mean, what do you want him to do? Here's Harold Fannin going head to head with the Penn State tight end, and you could say he outplayed him. Yeah,
and I would say that the playing fields in that situation aren't necessarily, it's hard to go stat by stat against a game like that, right? Because let's be honest, Penn State's offensive line is a little bit more physical than Bowling Green's. So it's like and I would say that Penn State has a few more weapons than Bowling Green does. So it's like when you factor all those in too, it's like, Fannin's probably playing in a tougher situation.
Well, the game plan to stop Fannin.
Than the latter. So,
well, and then just for reference, here's his game against Texas A&M: 8 catches, 145, and a touchdown. Those are big time tight end numbers, man. And then if you watch him, fortunately for us, we got to see him live. And you see the athleticism, you see the catches. See, that's the thing is like, I'm willing to bet not a single one of these voters watched Bowling Green Toledo, where he had like 3 big time, really good catches on not great throws. Yeah. And then he had a really good touchdown after the catch run where he hurdled, he jumped over a guy into the end zone. They don't watch that. They might look at the stats. And then they probably say, no, well, he played at Bowling Green. So, take that for what it's worth, because that's the same thing they're saying about Nick Nash. Oh, blah, blah, Mountain West. It's the same thing they're saying about Ashton Genty. So,
Sick of
again, it goes back to my point about Genty versus Hunter. And we had a work Christmas party last night. And as soon as I walked in the door, these guys are like, all right, Sprouse Heisman talk. And I was like, don't piss me off. So I will get this thing going, and I'm not going to let you narps, I'm not going to let you narps talk negatively about Ashton Genty. But
Travis Hunter.
Well, that's what they're saying. They go, oh, but I said, guys, like, Genty is arguably having like the best running back season of all time ever. Hunter is having one of the best seasons in the Big 12 this season. Like, it's not even close. And then you know what happened, Jeff? So then we were like, well, yeah, but he plays both ways, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I was like, guys, like, I'm not trying to downplay Travis Hunter. It's just, that's what you have to kind of do, because you're comparing whatever, the two best players in the country is what we're saying here. So you got to tell somebody why one's better than the other one. And then this other guy, Jeff, I said, yeah, and look at corner. Look at how he is at corner. Compare him to Sauce, right? Sauce is probably the last, like,
lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown, like, media knew about him corner. And I we talked about his numbers, and this guy goes, well, yeah, but I mean, Cincinnati. And I was like, yeah, brother, they made the playoffs in the 4 team. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, but then and I was like, don't start. And I was like, don't start with the fact they lost to Alabama 27-6. Nick Saban's average margin of victory over the SEC over the course of 20 years. Like, don't give me that Cincinnati got blown out by Alabama worse than anybody else ever did. Like, I mean, and then I'm like, and again, and like, okay, sure, but he didn't even sniff any award, like the Heisman at all.
Yeah,
I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
I don't feel good about it. Unfortunately, I wish I did, but the way it seems like it's setting up is, I swear, if Travis Hunter wins the Heisman, Dylan Gabriel has a better
Dylan Gabriel didn't win best quarterback though. Cam Ward did. Cam Ward, if you're a stat, like, if it's all about stats, Cam Ward had monster numbers. But again, if you go watch, at times he wasn't very efficient, made some really, really dumb lot of really dumb plays.
He also just exactly. That game against Cal, he threw some of the worst interceptions I've seen in a long time. And that's against Cal. Like, to me, consistency is a huge for quarterbacks. It is an absolutely huge factor, in my opinion. If you're not consistent as a quarterback, that's why Miami is not in the playoff and they are where they are, because of his inconsistencies. And people are like, oh, well, it's a team game. It's more than just one guy. If you're the Heisman and you are the guy, you cover up deficiencies of your team. Now, if it's on defense where your defense are just giving up 60 points a game, I get it. Like, a quarterback can't necessarily cover that up completely, but they can do. I'm telling you, if you watch full game film, Cam Ward will look incredible in moments. And then what? Why did he throw that ball? Why was he running around for 6 seconds and then threw back across the field? The first thing that you're taught as a quarterback is to never throw late over the middle, and gets picked. Guess what? If it's getting picked in college, it's getting picked and housed in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Great talent, great player, not the best quarterback.
Yeah, well, and the thing about it too, Jeff, is like, yeah, their defense was atrocious, but at the same time, it's like, you blame the defense for blowing a 3-touchdown lead, but at the same time, like, well, what happened to the offense?
Yeah, they stalled
because y'all stalled, and that in turn puts your defense in a bad spot because you're not. But that's neither here nor there. We'll see what happens. I mean, he did win the Maxwell, so that was a consolation. Maybe that was a consolation prize. Like, look, we're not going to give this guy anything. We won the Doak Walker, best running back, which
You know
thank
what?
God, because if he didn't win that, it would have been.
Sprouse, you know what? I've just come to something.
What do you got?
I hope Genty doesn't win the Heisman, because that is going to light a freaking fire under him, and it's another chip on his shoulder or something to prove in the college football playoff.
It's actually
you didn't give me the Heisman. Okay, I'm gonna show you. So actually, I don't want him to win that, because then if he does win the Heisman, then all the eyes are going
to be patting him on his back for 3 weeks.
That's exactly it. So you know what? I'm okay with it. Give it to Travis. We got bigger fish to fry.
And I'll say this too, Jeff, is that'll motivate. That'll piss off. You know who that'll piss off probably more than it'll actually piss off Ashton Genty?
The offensive
line. Yep. Because they know, like, Genty seems like an awesome dude. So they all do, right? Like I'm not. Travis Hunter seems like, for all the Colorado like kind of nonsense, Travis Hunter seems like a pretty good kid.
Yeah, he does.
So, but Genty's a good dude. So that O-line knows that award is their award. Like, so if he doesn't get it, that's going to set them off, especially if they get their guys, if all their guys are healthy. It's going to fire them the hell up. And hopefully we get everything situated, and we'll be there to see it. But can't wait. Staying in the Mountain West, though. Dan Mullen to UNLV.
Yeah.
Splash. Definitely a splash. You could go either way. Is he kind of past his window a little bit? But also, I mean, he's always kind of been a real innovative offensive guy. Being that he's been in the booth, did he get any UNLV games? Did they play any Thursday games with Mullen? They normally were playing on Fridays.
Yeah, they had a ton of Friday games. Yeah, interested to see if his time in the booth, being able to be, usually they go to the practice like the day before. They talk to some of the coaches. They get inside information. He's been able to watch a lot of ball. So does any of that translate into his offense moving forward? It's interesting. Seems like, he wanted to get back into the space. He still has that fire. So,
yeah. And for UNLV, I mean, outside of what we saw with Sluka, but they have the potential to have loads of NIL money and resource. I mean, you've seen the facilities. They've got great facilities already. They're starting to get that community behind them. So I do always wonder with somebody that's coming out of the booth, like, since they've been all over the place and they kind of they talk to so many coaches and staff and people, and I feel like they got a good grasp on what's a good job and what's not. And, I think, look, they probably fired him too early at Florida. And I don't know. How long has he been out of the game now?
It's got to be at least.
Did Napier replace him? Or did
I'm drawing a blank.
I think so, which is only 3 years. But anyway, it's an interesting hire.
2021 was his last season.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out of the game for 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, but that being said, college football is a hell of a lot different than it was 3 years ago. And then, you've seen basically the whole Marshall team's in the portal.
That's a mess. That whole situation is an absolute mess.
Yeah,
and I don't know whose fault where that falls. If it's the AD, if it's Huff, there seems to be a lot, like some bad blood between Huff and the school.
Yeah. But the players were right. I mean, listen, they rallied around him and we got the win. So and then now they're all in the portal. So they certainly find, which is normal. Huh?
They all going to Southern Miss or what?
Dude, in today's world, that's how crazy it is. Southern Miss could go from worst to first real quick. With those guys in the portal plus everybody else in the portal, I mean, I don't know what kind of money they have to offer. I don't know if, B-Rad is down there in Hattiesburg trying to get $500,000 for everybody on the roster or not. But
dude, I don't know how coaches do it. I was texting with a coach yesterday. It was like, how do you even operate in this space? And he was like, brother, it's crazy. It's literally the Wild West. You don't know what's going to happen. Just expect the unexpected, and you got to adapt and overcome. Good was the term. I said, how do you deal with this certain situation? Good. Let's move on.
That's a Jocko Willink. Yeah. Shay, so we can talk about Belichick. That to me has disaster written all over it, because he already was like out of touch with the NFL guys. I felt like.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have such a hard time coaching kids.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
The thing is, he's advertising it as like a direct NFL feeder program. That's going to attract some kids. And he says he wants to go into parents, kids' living rooms and talk to them, and talk to the parents, and we'll see.
Can you imagine?
The thing is, they got the bankroll.
A lot of parents are gonna want that.
Oh, 100%.
Because they'll want the discipline and the NFL and the pedigree and all that stuff, versus, so the other side is like being flashy and this and that. And but here's where I see a problem, an issue is, and I see this starting to happen too. Like we've talked about a couple agents, right? And just for everybody's reference, I know we have a lot of Georgia Southern people. Darian Mensah's agent is the same agent as Dexter Williams.
And
so when we jump to conclusions about, see, this is why coach should have played him, chances are that agent is in there asking for an unrealistic amount of money in week 3, and coaches are not having it, and they can't do it. And then I think what's going to happen, especially with guys like Belichick, is, or if Saban was still running around, you're going to have a situation where they're just like, I'm not dealing with that agency. Like, I'm not going to do it. It's too much of a pain in the ass. There's plenty of good players out there. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not going to, and I don't know. And maybe that'll be what makes the pendulum swing with this 20% and all this stuff that these agents are doing. But
also
I don't know.
Also had another retread. Rich Rod to West Virginia. So Jacksonville State is now open. Interested to see. I haven't read anything up on who they're looking to replace, or
a lot of people have been saying Bill Clark, but I don't know if that's a fan thing or that's a pipe dream or not.
I feel like he's linked to a ton of jobs every time they come open.
Every job in the South that opens up, he's linked to it. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, if he really wants to get back into it or not.
Is Rich Rod coaching the bowl game? Do we know that?
I don't know.
I'll have to look that up.
I don't know. But man, yeah, that's interesting, Joe, who Belichick's going to hire. Well, his son, right? His kid's going to be on the staff. I think in the contract that his kid's like the head coach in waiting or something like that.
I haven't seen anything official about it. I know Michael Lombardi is going to be the GM. So a lot of these programs they're hiring GMs now to handle, NIL player, personnel, essentially, who's getting what. It's you almost have to have it now.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I want to talk just a little bit more on the agent thing, because I do think, it started becoming that way, like with what's LeBron's clutch or whatever. Like, well, I know in the Heat circles, everybody says Pat Riley just doesn't want to deal with any player that they represent because they're too much of a pain in the ass. So I think you're going to start seeing this stuff in college. I really do. And then you wonder this too, right? Because I went back and I did some digging on Mensah and his situation, and I'm seeing pictures of his agent, kind of popping his little head in on the sideline or in the front row, like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So again, like, here's another distraction that we're giving kids. Like, NFL guys have a hard time managing this, where every time after every practice and after every game, they got 10 reporters in their face asking them about their contract extension or whatever. And they get, I don't know, talk to my agent. Now you're doing this to 18, 19, 20-year-olds. I mean,
I like Manny Diaz over at Duke. I just think we'll see. I think it's a lateral move, but from what we've heard and been told, he got cashed out. So hope you get your ROI.
That's what the word is, and and then for Tulane, I don't know how realistic it is. I've seen some stuff on Twitter that supposedly they got somebody coming that's better, but
we'll see. Duke plays Tulane next year.
I sure do. September 13th, Jeff. I've already marked it on my calendar.
Are we going?
I got to, right? I mean, right? I already looked. I don't think there's a ton of other good games.
Yeah.
Not non-conference type games that weekend, because that'll be like week 3. Season's starting earlier and earlier now. It's either week 3 or week 2 after, week 0, week 1. But then you also have next year is App State at Boise State.
You also have JMU and Liberty next year too.
We got to get to the blue turf. We got to get to James Madison. Got to get to Marshall. I think it's
in Lynchburg, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong about that.
Well, so we got bowl games tomorrow, Jeff.
Yes, we do.
We got the Salute to Services Bowl, no longer the Camellia Bowl, which I've been to, and it. Let's see if the Salute to Services Bowl can do a little bit of a better job managing. Now, that being said, when I went, Georgia Southern was in town, probably a little less of a crowd with South and Western Michigan as far as, but Georgia Southern drank the city out,
Yeah.
So they tapped the whole town. So South Alabama, Western Michigan. Hey, shout out to Gio Lopez, huh?
Hell yeah, man.
Good for him.
Awesome.
And, I'm excited to see him play, and I'm excited to see Western Michigan play.
That's a good example of where I think, and I hope somebody's giving him some NIL to keep him there to help with that, but where relationships come into play. You have a great relationship with your coach in Applewhite. He mentions Applewhite and wanting to develop as a player and a quarterback, and that's what we got to have. We got to have more of that. And I want kids to get paid. I do. But he gets to the portal. Like, there's no guarantee that just because you get in, A, you're going to get picked up. I think he would, but B, that you're going to have the same opportunity, not only to play, but to develop. You've been at South Alabama for a few years now. I know you got relationships at that school in that city. Please just take a hard look at where you're at before you just make a decision solely based off $1.
Yeah, well, when we were down in Mobile last year at the Senior Bowl and we talked to Major Applewhite, I mean, there was talk. We weren't sure if Lopez was going to get in the portal last year.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's got a pretty good relationship with his coach. And again, Major Applewhite, I mean, that's a big-time quarterback guy. Uh-huh. So if you're looking to learn a system, it's a good spot for you. I got to tell you, though, I think we're going to see so many opt-outs. I think I'm willing to bet there's going to be bowl games that get canceled because of so many opt-outs and portal things. But
impossible to try and pick these games.
Oh yeah, ain't no sense in trying to bet. I mean, you got guys in the portal we've talked about it the other day that are in the playoff. And one of the things I wanted to bring up, because I saw Jason Brown, the old Last Chance U JUCO coach. He's wild, right?
Yeah.
And I think of him what you want. Okay. But I saw a clip of him talking on Twitter yesterday, and he was saying, basically, it's a paraphrase. Like, the whole point of opting out was to get ready for the NFL and to not get hurt in a meaningless game before getting your check. And he's cussing and saying all this stuff. But of course he's like, you're getting paid now. Like, I'm paying you to play football. Like, you play. Like to snow, and I think we'll start seeing that when I think inevitably when we get an NIL contracts with these kids, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of incentives on playing a certain number of games, not opting out of anything, multiple year. Because look, if you're getting paid anything, you got to play. It's your job now. And again, this is what we wanted, right? This is what we all wanted. And so here we are. So now again, like we were talking about the other day, like, welcome to adulthood, boys. Like, you don't get call outs no more. Like, you don't get, I don't know.
You don't get call outs. You get fired when you don't perform. So just all the things that come with a real life getting paid and working job, they're going to start creeping in if they're not here already in this college football or college athletic space entirely. So,
and I'm gonna say this too. Like Pat yesterday was talking about, like, and this is of course mostly at the Power 4 level, but he was just saying, $100,000 is kind of like floor
league minimum
for for these guys. So we probably don't have any players listening to this show right now at this hour, but guys, like, if it's $100,000, that's a lot of money. Be careful, because if you're $100,000 guy in college, you're probably not an NFL guy, and your first job is probably not going to be $100,000 job. So don't get used to. You're also not going to be living in a college dorm anymore, right? You're going to have an apartment or a house. You're going to start having bills. Start having all this stuff. So just don't get used to this lifestyle that these agents are preaching with all the flash. That's all I'm saying.
Best thing you can do is do your due diligence. Find a good agent that knows what he's doing, that's been around, that cares about not just the dollar that you're going to make, but your overall situation. If you can find a guy like Pat, then you got some good counsel.
These guys, man. These guys, you go on Instagram of an agency, Jeff. What do I tell you? It screams. Anybody that's on Instagram, it screams rented Lambo, right? Hire a photographer.
Most wanted.
Yeah, rented Lambo. Hire a photographer. Take a few pictures with some sunglasses and a big chain on, and tell everybody you can get them $1 million. And here's how you get $1 million. Pay me first, and then I'll tell you how to do it. That's what it screams. It screams. Buy my online business course for $20,000. It'll tell you how to make money online, just like me. Oh, what do? I help people how to make money online. Yeah, but how'd you make the money? By helping people make money. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. But do you have a product of any? Is there anything that's actually happened? Am I getting with the transaction besides an email and a phone call? Like, oh man, that's what it screams to me. But
it helps when daddy's paying for everything too.
Jeez. Tell you about some guys that we don't have to worry about agents, Jeff. Army, Navy.
That's right.
I'm so much more, not that I'm not always been interested in this game, but I'm so much more invested in this game now that we've been out there to West Point. You kind of get to see a little bit of how big of a deal it really is to them. Like, how big it is to the media. And I think it's been, honestly, I think the media does a poor job of emphasizing this game, which has always been part of my argument as to why it should be played on regular rivalry weekend, and a conference game, all that stuff. But Army's got a chance. They already won the American. They got a chance to win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. It'll be first time since 98, right? When the Air Force Falcons did that. Navy hadn't played in a minute,
Yeah, they've been kind of banged up. Horvath has been hurt, but from everything that I've read, he's going to play. He's ready to go. He's excited for this game. I mean, I think, not only are the cadets, everybody is jacked. Everything I've read, everybody's excited for this one.
Well, now where it's in DC this year, right? When did they quit playing these on campus?
It's been a while now that they've actually been playing it
Philly.
Neutral. Yeah, they played in Philadelphia for a while. First game ever, Sprouse, November 29th, 1890. Navy holds the record right now, 62, 55, and 7. So Army's got a little bit of catching up to do. But you know what? What makes this game, not only just the battle on the field, Army, Navy, when we were there, at West Point, everything is go Army, beat Navy, go Army, beat Navy. But each year they get special uniforms for this game. Can't wait to see that. You get the March of the Cadets and the Midshipmen. Post game, both teams stand together, sing the alma mater. So you have these, you have, and then the Commander in Chief's trophy. Obviously, you have these like really cool, the pageantry of this game. You're gonna have an epic flyover. Future President Donnie J. Trump will be in attendance. So
Really?
interested to see the type of pop. Is it like when the glass breaks and Stone Cold comes out of the backstage area? I don't know, but I'm here for it all. I can't wait for it. Might have to do like a last meat smoke session of the year for this.
Really?
I think so. Be hanging around,
That's the thing. You talk about the singing each other's alma mater, and that's kind of the phrase is sing second, right? Because the winning team sings last. And it's a really cool deal, when they're all, both teams, every single player on the roster standing there together. It's like, okay, game's over now.
Yeah.
We're back to brothers in arms or whatever you want to call it. And I'm interested in that flyover. I wonder if you get the helicopters for Army, you might get like Navy F-16 or something.
Pretty dope. Joe, he said he thought the game was in New York this year. It's at the Washington Commanders Stadium, so technically Maryland. But
yeah, I get it, but I always like on campus.
I do too.
I always do.
I wonder though. I wonder if the stadiums just aren't big enough.
Probably.
All the cadets, the midshipmen, you got all that, and then you just got your regular fans that want to come in and watch the game. We'll have to do this game at some point, whether it's next year or something.
100%.
This is one we got to do it.
Well, what do you think on the field? I think all season. Donnie J. Yeah, we call each other all the time. Yeah, they both were texting me all the time. They were saying, "Hey, Matt, it's Kamala," and then it was like this super long paragraph on why. Then I'd get another text from Donnie J right afterwards. But
Joe,
anyway, on the field,
it started when I put my bid in for the mayor of Murfreesboro. Donnie reached out. I'd be a good candidate, a good addition.
Yeah.
No, this game is gonna be awesome.
Well, on the field, I think all year we kind of been saying we thought Army was a little bit better than Navy. Bryson Daly is just something. It's just tough to deal with, and they to me they have more weapons. Horvath is really good, and I think Horvath throws it pretty damn good. But with Kanye Udo, Daly, and then was Noah Short.
Yep,
they got weapons like a non-academy team would have weapons.
Yep. And my favorite player, honestly, obviously Bryson Daly. What is it? Cool head, hot heart. Love that. But safety Max DiDomenico. Great name, by the way. But we got to see him warm up. Adorns the captain C on his chest. He flies around, man. He hits. He's a leader of that defense. And but here's the thing, Sprouse. I got my notepad here, all my notes on it. You know what you do in this game?
Throw it out the window.
You throw it out the window because you got something that these kids are playing for. It's more than any other thing that you could possibly explain, that any other kid in the country that's played football all year. The Commanders Chiefs trophy, Army, Navy, the pageantry, all of it. I have no idea who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be Army. I think they got too much firepower, not only on offense but defense. But hey, Navy looked like world beaters at one point this season. You don't think that they're going to be up for this game? I'm fired up for it. I can't wait. We picked the perfect time to go to West Point, to get all this, check it all out, and then now we got Army Navy. Yeah. I'm dialed into this game.
Yeah, I just think the momentum that Army has right now is going to be tough. I think they're firing on all cylinders. The way that they played against Tulane last week was like, I just think they're clicking, and I think they're gonna win.
What kind of hoodie you got there, Sprouse?
Air Force Falcon hoodie. They actually have the most Commander in Chief's trophy out of any of them, and less seasons than any of them.
Do
which
they
is
really?
Wild. Yeah. Well, but the problem is the year that Army and Navy decided to both be good at the same time, Air Force was atrocious. so they didn't get to hop on this wave of hype and excitement.
So how does that? So I guess if it's a three-way tie, there's possibility that it's a three-way tie, right?
The
Not
team
this year,
that won
but
it. The team that won it the previous year keeps it.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there's been times where, like, NC Air Force would obviously has already played them both, so they've already lost to both of them this year. But there's been times when, like, how would it play out? Like, Air Force, let's say, beats Army in the regular season, loses to Navy, and then like Navy, let's say Navy were to win it. I'm doing a bad job explaining this. Let's say Navy had it, right? Navy won it last year, and then Air Force beats Army, and then Navy beats Air Force. Then it, like, the Army Navy game doesn't really matter. You know, I mean, it matters, but Navy's going to keep the trophy regardless at that point. Yeah. But so, pretty cool deal. And then they always rotate the president, the vice president, and I think the Secretary of Defense for the graduation speeches and stuff like that. But I don't know if they typically would go to these games. Army Navy. I mean, look, Army Navy game is the bigger deal, and this we've confirmed over the past weekend. Yeah. But I don't know how often a president has or a president-elect has gone to the game.
I think it's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
It's not an every year thing, but I would venture to say that
they also know, right? They're politicians. They also know what kind of reaction they're about to get at certain places. True. That's why, Trump goes to games in the South
or go to UFC events
or fights. Yeah. And, Tim Walz goes to Michigan games. You know what I mean? Coach. They know. But anyway, hey, so give me Army. Yeah, Commander-in-Chief. They're going to have it all. Commander-in-Chief, American Conference champion, an argument for the freaking playoff they should have had. But we got a couple voicemails. Let's get to those. Make sure you guys call that hotline, 615-900-4286. See what we got.
Group of five guys, what's up? I feel like I should respond to Steeple here. I was laughing about every single second through that voicemail. Absolutely legendary. Probably one of the voicemails of the year. But anyway, Steeple, hope your son's doing good. Always rooting for him and his success in the NFL. His time at State and Coastal, we couldn't stop him. Southern couldn't stop him at all. I mean, the guy was electric, beast. But anyway, back to the Ben Moore thing. I just don't like the way he's going about attacking kind of some of our players Bryson Broadway was a former player at Georgia State, going out attacking him, whatever. But you are right. If you get more of him at a school like Georgia State, at a school like Coastal, App State, Georgia Southern, list goes on. Get a lot more guys like him, your fan base is going to grow. Your interactions on Twitter are going to grow. That's all good. But just thought I should clarify. I didn't like him going about talking to our fans like that. He usually gets has to fight his head out of his tail. You know what I mean? But, Georgia State's a dump. That's all I got to say. So, God bless the group of five guys. Hail Southern.
Appreciate it, Josh. As you should respond. And by the way, Georgia State retaining their top receiver.
Yeah, Hurst.
Yeah, it's a big
good player.
Yeah, very good player. Something to build on there. But appreciate you, Josh. We'll keep this thing rolling.
Hey guys, this is the Juice, man. Rapping with you. Oh man, my wife's gonna be kind of upset with me. I just bought tickets to the Independence Bowl in Shreveport. As an Army veteran, I always kind of wanted to see Army play a game, and it seems like it could be a good time. The only bad part, man, her and the kids might be upset because it's probably going to be cold out there. The game starts at 8:15 at night Central, man. Any suggestions for trying to keep warm out there? But, yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know I'm excited about it, even if it puts me in a doghouse. It'll be the start of my week off of work for vacation, so kind of wanted to start it out with a bang and see some football, you know. And speaking of like Army service academies, I know one of y'all said you went to Air Force for a while or something. How's it? What's the difference for them with like recruiting? With you know, do they have meal like the transfer portal? How much different is all that type of stuff for a service academy? But anyway, just hit me up and let me know what you think, and maybe y'all know somebody out there that's going to that Independence Bowl. But I'll holler at y'all later. All right. Bye.
Ralph?
Well, Juice as an expert in cold weather climates. No, I mean it ain't gonna be as bad as it was up there, but I mean we weren't in too bad a shape. I didn't think.
No, it just makes you got plenty of layers.
Yeah, layers, and you would cover the mirrors. And I don't know what the wind is what really did it. Like when it wasn't windy at West Point, it wasn't bad, especially when the sun was still out. It was pretty nice actually.
Head, hands, and feet.
Up, man,
keep those warm. Get some extra layers. Get some fleece layers if you can, and you should be all right. Some hand warmers always help.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep kids warm in that situation.
Keep what now?
Kids. I don't know if
that's gonna be that's risky. You know, the Montgomery, the Salute to Service Bowl, that's a 9 p.m. Eastern kickoff too.
Wow.
I'm trying to go. I mean, I'm wanting to go, but wife and kids are sick, so I don't know if I'll get that passed this weekend. But anyway, the recruiting side, I mean, yeah, they don't have NIL to offer, but you also do get like a monthly stipend, or at least you did. And it certainly ain't what these kids are making, but you also, I mean, you don't have anything to pay for. Everything is, you know, everybody that goes to school there is on scholarship. So it's not like, you know, only the athletes. So you got a ton of kids. And then portal wise, you're going to lose a bunch of kids. A bunch of freshmen are going to not make it typically. And then, so you're not going to be able to get kids in from the portal, but you would lose a couple as freshmen. But then after sophomore year, like they've got to commit. They've got to commit to active duty, so they can't leave at that point. Like
now you can't
leave. Yeah, it's and if they do, then they have to actively enlist for like 5 years. I think it is. Like that's your commitment to the Air Force. Is you graduate, you have to commit 5 years as an officer. If you don't graduate, you got to enlist 5 years active. But I don't know, man. It's probably the type of kid you can get. It's probably easier now. I almost feel like, you know, you don't have to coddle them to keep them because you know they're going to be there, and they want to be there for other reasons too. You know, so
appreciate it, Juice.
Anyway,
you got 2 more. We'll get to them.
Hey guys, Zach Green here. Just want to give some thoughts about a few things relating to some coaching hires and some transfer portal stuff. But a little background first. I think I've mentioned this before, but I live in Eastern North Carolina. My dad went to NC State, and so I grew up an NC State fan. And to be honest, I still support them. Secondary to the Liberty, of course. Don't get that twisted. I pulled for Liberty when they played each other in 2020. I do it in a heartbeat again tomorrow. Don't get that twisted. But I still watch the games with my dad and still support them, just not as much as I used to. But with that being said, that means I've watched a lot of football coached by Tim Beck at Coastal and Tony Gibson now at Marshall. And I got to say, from my pretty untrained X's and O's and personnel eye, Tony Gibson is the better hire. Because at NC State, the defense under Tony Gibson the last few years has kind of been their strength. I mean, last year they had the Butkus award-winning linebacker Peyton Wilson, who's at the Steelers now. And then the last few years, especially under this current offensive coordinator, the last 2 years, the offense has been really bad. But even before that, under Beck, it was kind of mediocre at times, to the point that a lot of NC State fans were glad that Tim Beck was gone and gone to Coastal so that State could try to get something else going. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. But I was kind of skeptical of Beck, though, at the time. And unfortunately, Steeple, I think we might be seeing that skepticism come to bear. Now he's still got time. He can still get it turned around. They could have an amazing season next year. They can get a quarterback. And Gibson could suck. But right now, it looks like Gibson is probably the best option of the two. And he runs an interesting 3-3-5 defense, and hopefully he can get the right offensive guys in there to help him out and get that ship turned around at Marshall. And I say ship turned around because they won the Sun Belt Championship. They had a great year, great team, but they are going to get dominated in the Independence Bowl by Bryson Daly and the Black Knights. I mean, they're going to pull up that cannon from West Point and blow those boys to smithereens. It's going to be a massacre the like you've never seen since Gettysburg, man. Because Marshall's down, 20-plus guys in the portal, including 2 or 3 quarterbacks and a coach. I mean, I kind of feel bad for them. They had a great year, and now they're just kind of mailed it in. The coach left. A lot of players are in the portal, and Army's going to be locked in. You know they are. I kind of hope that's not true. I hope it's more competitive, but it's not looking good, and there's probably going to be some other bowls that you could say the same thing about, something similar with all the portal and the coaching changes. But anyway, speaking of portal, Liberty's working hard on the portal. We had a good recruiting class. We'll see how that goes. But Joe Ashton Genty, go Group of 5, go Flames, baby. Let's roll against Buck.
Appreciate you, Zach. Yeah, that's I don't know how you play these bowl games.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, are they gonna?
Is it really their entire roster?
I mean, I don't think it's.
I saw a graphic that said.
Yeah, I saw it.
Marshall's
entire roster. Yeah. I mean, originally it was like 24 guys, which still, I mean, that's a lot.
I mean, that's your starting, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I did see that clip of Tim Beck yesterday. He was talking about the transfer portal, and you can expect your top guys to be gone every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not building a program anymore. It's building a roster every year. He looked a little like disheveled. That's the right word. Just kind of like, I don't know. The life had been sucked out of him. But who knows? He could have just been tired.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's got to be frustrating.
Well, and let it be a, warning for the fans, right? It's going to be almost impossible to consistently stay up on top unless you just have, in the Group of 5, right? Memphis, unless you have like the outrageous amounts of money, it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to our last one. And I apologize. I was supposed to play this on Wednesday, and I did not.
Oh, no.
Group of 5 guys, Sidelines Army. Save this for the Wednesday show. But what the hell is going on with fan bases and bowl games? Army got Marshall in the Independence Bowl. This is fantastic. This is the American champion and the Sun Belt champion playing each other. We couldn't have asked for a better choice unless it's going to be a top 25 team. And we didn't get a top 25 team. I don't know why. Don't ask me. The fat cats and the executives, they decided that. But we get a conference champion. And now all of the Army fans are Memphis gets to play West Virginia. West Virginia finished 10th in the Big 12. West Virginia is garbage. And Navy's like, we get to play Oklahoma. Look at us. Oh, Army, you're so terrible because you're playing Marshall. We get to play Oklahoma. Oklahoma finished 13th in the SEC. Oklahoma is garbage. Tulane is playing Florida. Oh, look at us. We get to play Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl. I live in Greater Tampa. I know all about Gasparilla and Jose Gaspar, okay? I love Gasparilla. But I'm sorry. The University of Florida is hot garbage. They finished, 12th in the SEC? What are we doing here? When it comes to the college football playoff, everybody is boo-hooing and poo-pooing the fact that the college football playoff committee is all about big brands. And then the bowl games come around, and all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean we don't get to play a Power 4 team? Get off it, guys. Either brands matter or they don't. Army is the American Conference champion. We are playing the Sun Belt Conference champion. This is a good thing. The winner of this game is meaningful to college football. These are 2 conference champions. What am I missing here? Sorry. I'm ranting. I'm raving. I know. I love the Army fan base. but been a rough afternoon, to say the least. Go Army, beat Navy.
No, I mean you're 1,000% right. I hate that we were just talking about, Huff gone.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately not going to be the same team, but that's for Florida too. That's for everybody across the board in bowl season. So, but yes, I love that you're getting an American champ versus a Sun Belt champ just because you got two great Group of 5 programs going at it.
Well, and then in the Cure Bowl, you're getting the Conference USA champ and the MAC champ. So the 4 champions that didn't make the playoff are all playing each other. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, bowl games, it's probably going to be worse. Marshall's kind of a weird exception, but it's probably going to be worse for like the Floridas and Oklahomas as far as portal and opt-outs and all those things. So, to me, bowl games, the opponent is not as important as the location and the bowl and, how much stuff you get to do and the bowl gifts. That's probably what the players
That's
want.
what I cared about.
Yeah, 100%. You get you a nice new recliner or TV or something. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, a full Marshall roster against a full Army roster probably would have been awesome. So it's a shame. But anyway, that's all we got, Jeff.
That's it.
Hey, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you everybody that called in. Thank you everybody in the live chat. Make sure you help us out. Make sure you hit the follow button on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can download the Varsity app for free and listen to the show on there. God bless the Group of 5 Guys. God bless the Group of 5. Have a great weekend.